So, Dean, where did you say this adventure was?
And I'll find strength in pain, and I will change my ways. I'll know my name as it's cold again.
Well, it's that time of year again. The latest is upon us, so we start going through some of the extra supernatural material that is out there. In this, the latest book, as you can get a hint of on the cover, the boys investigate a mystery at Mammoth Cave, which is in Kentucky. Well, that's practically my backyard. So how about we take the boys and go on a field trip?
I don't know, Sammy. I think I just heard some banjos.
First of all, let me say that for those curious about the area, the book itself takes place in Brownsdale, Kentucky, in Edwardson County. But if you go looking through Google, there's no actual town. The technical place is Brownsville, Kentucky, as part of Edmonson County. I understand why the author did this, since the whole story is about the town with the dark secret, and I'll change names to protect the innocents. But every place else referenced in the book, towns and highways, even Louisville, Kentucky, obviously all very real. On the supernatural scale, this book is a fairly solid standard outing. Monster of the week with no real impacts on the overall plot. Historian note says that it takes place during season 10, but given that I can't recall any instances of a reference to the Mark of Cain, this book could just as easily fit into any other season of Supernatural.
Sammy, I want some ice cream.
Fine, eat the ice cream. As a story, the middle part of the book is probably the weakest, as there's a bit of chunk where the boys do what I call spinning their wheels, and there are certain points where the boys kind of repeat things that they've done before. If I was editing, I'd see about blending all those parts together, trying to add a new scene to give character to the town or boys. The payoff is also will be kind of mixed for the reader. I personally was not as satisfied by it. Thought it just a bit of a letdown after all the build-up. Some other readers may be perfectly happy with it. It's not enough to make me feel insulted or angry at the book. I do appreciate the author doing their homework. At some point, they even mentioned Floyd Collins was one of the most famous people to die in Mammoth Cave. And as you can see here, that was a real person and a real case that captured the national imagination a while back. A lot of the other stuff in the book, as long as it's not directly related to the story and kind of outside the scope, is pretty accurate. Although, at one point when the boys are trying to enter the cave, she makes mentions to, quote, the mountain. And as you can kind of see from these shots, while I suppose Mammoth Cave in a technical sense sits on a mountain, it's really just more of hills around that. You still got to go much further east before you start getting into the Smokies, or what we would really call a mountainous area. Something you may not know that you can get at Mammoth Cave.
What is this?
It's just water.
No, it's not.
It's just in a box, Dean.
Ah, what kind of foul monster did Lucifer drag you up? Ah! Stab, stab, stab.
Overall, I'd put this book at about a 3 out of 5. It's a okay, kind of mediocre, standard Monster of the Week, quote, episode. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of hometown pride, and not really anything to make it stand out. A good, solid read if you're needing your supernatural fix, and it doesn't break any canon or commit some of the worst sins that, heck, even the show has done against the brand. I'd recommend it to completionists.
'Cause